Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Talmud Bavli Chullin, and I'm starting Daf 30 today. So it's in the middle of a sentence from the last onward, so just track back to there. Abai said to Rav Yosef, wasn't stated with regard to the halach about Rabbi Hanan says, Rav Yochanan says, this is stated by Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, which is cited unattributed. What does that mean? Unattributed sissa'a. Rashi explains this word to mean that many unattributed Mishnayot and Braitot are according to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yochanan received the tradition that this Braitot is one of them. The Rifta interprets the term to refer to the fact that this particular opinion cited anonymously in the Braitot, the opinion of Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon. Either way, the point of the Gemara is that the halacha in this case is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis who disagree with him, and the unattributed Mishnah in Tractate Para is according to the opinion of the rabbis. It is one of the many opinions that are cited in the Mishnah and the Braitot without attribution. But the rabbis say two people may slaughter one offering. Shnaim chatim zevach echad. If two people slaughter a single animal, whether it is a non-sacred animal or a sacrificial animal, the slaughter is valid. According to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, two people should not slaughter even non-sacred animal because they could easily come to press a knife or otherwise invalidate the slaughter. That's from the Rambam Sefer V'Odei Hilchot B'Sulei Medushin 1:5 and Sefer Kedusha Hilchot Shechita 2:10 Tavua Shor Yohdei 21:8. According to the rabbis' difficulty remains. Then the Mishnah teaches a case where they slaughter with two men, and however does not render the first man who slaughters impure, as the slaughter did not yet begin, and the heifer renders the latter man impure. And according to the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, who holds that two people may not slaughter one offering, that the Tana of the Mishnah also distinguished to teach a case where one man slaughtered with two cloths on his head, starting the slaughter with one and replacing it with the other midway through the slaughter. As in that case, since halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, the first cloth is not rendered impure, but the latter cloth is rendered impure. One must say that the Tana is speaking only in reference to cases involving the disqualification of the heifer itself, but is not speaking in reference to cases of a fatal red heifer, and no proof may be cited from here. Rav Idi Bar Avin raises an objection from a Mishnah, Pesachim 63a, of the opinion that halachic slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion. If one slaughters an animal for the sake of the Paschal offering on the 14th of Nisan afternoon while he has leaven in his possession, he is flogged for violating the prohibition. You shall not slaughter the blood of my sacrificed leaven bread, Exodus 23:18. If he slaughtered the animal not for the sake of the Paschal offering, he is exempt from receiving lashes. And if he slaughtered the animal during the festival of Passover, one who slaughters the Paschal offering at the designated time while he or another member of the group had an olive book of leavened bread in his possession violates the prohibition and is flogged. The same is true if one sprinkles the blood or burns the limbs on the altar while one of the members of the group has leavened bread in his possession. Interesting. One violates the prohibition only when he does so at the designated time, i.e. after midday on Passover Eve, in accordance with the opinion of the first Tana in the Mishnah on Pesachim 63a. On the Sefer Kabbalah Hilchot Korban Pesach 1:5. On the festival for the sake of the Paschal offering with leaven in his possession, he is exempt because it is a disqualified Paschal offering, as it was slaughtered beyond this appointed time. But if he slaughtered the animal during the festival, not for the sake of the Paschal offering, but rather as a peace offering, he is liable for slaughtering the animal with leaven in his possession. And we discussed this matter. The reason he is liable is due to the fact that his intent was to slaughter not for the sake of the Paschal offering, but had he slaughtered it with an unspecified intent, he would be exempt because the offering would be disqualified. Unless he specifically intends otherwise, the animal retains its status as a Paschal offering and is disqualified when sacrificed beyond its appointed time. We'll ask, why is he exempt? Doesn't a Paschal offering sacrificed during the rest of the days of the year assume the status of a peace offering? Pesach, the Paschal offering. There's a positive mitzvah to bring the Paschal offering to the temple in the afternoon of the 14th of Nisan to partake of it that evening after nightfall. This mitzvah applies equally to men and women. The Paschal offering, an offering of lesser sanctity, may be either a male lamb or goat. that is in its first year. See Exodus chapter 12, Deuteronomy 16:2. It may be slaughtered anywhere within the temple courtyard, as well as put on the base of the altar. Though considered an individual offering as opposed to a public offering, is not brought by individuals, but only by a group consisting of registered members. Unlike other individual offerings sacrificed even on Shabbat, moreover, it is sacrificed even if the majority of the Jewish people is in a state of ritual impurity. And there's a picture here of the blood of the Paschal offering conveyed to the altar and poured on the base. Shlomim, peace offering. A peace offering may be bought from male or female cattle, sheep or goats. It is an offering of lesser sanctity and may be slaughtered anywhere within the temple courtyard. After slaughter, the blood is taken to the altar and sprinkled upon opposite corners of the altar so that the blood will reach each of the four sides of the altar. Portions of the peace offering are burned on the altar, and the breast and right hind leg are given to the priest. The rest of the animal is eaten by the one who brought the offering, as well as by his family and guests anywhere within the walls of Jerusalem. It may be eaten on the day the offering was sacrificed, and the following day. Peace offering is the gift offerings. And doesn't one who slaughtered a peace offering, during the time that it's prohibited to possess leaven with leaven in its possession, also violate the prohibition. Conclude from it that a Paschal offering sacrificed during the rest of the days of the explicit revocation of its status. Otherwise, it does not assume the status of a peace offering and made a disqualified Paschal offering. So I'll just go through that again. If the Paschal offering is sacrificed in the rest of the year, not on Pesach, then you must explicitly revoke its status as a Paschal offering. If you don't, it's disqualified Paschal offering. If it's revoked, then it can be a peace offering. And Rabbi Hira Bar Gamda said, a response emerged from the group of scholars that discussed this matter. And they said, what are we dealing with here? It is with a case where the owner of the Paschal offering which the impure and 14 with impurity imparted by a corpse. In that case, the Torah commanded in Numbers 9, 10 to 11, that since they were unable to sacrifice the Paschal offering at the appropriate time, because they're impure, the 14th of Nisan, they would defer to the second Pesach Sheni. One who was ritually impure on a distant journey or who failed to bring the Paschal offering on the 14th of Nisan is required to bring the Paschal offering 1 month later, on the 14th of Nisan. 14th of the year, All halacha that applies to the Paschal offering brought on the first Pesach applies to the Paschal offering brought on the second, with one exception. There is no prohibition against eating or possessing leavened bread on that day. One may not eat leavened bread with the second Paschal offering. So you can't eat it with the second Paschal offering, but you can own it. Whereas Pesach, you can't have leavened bread. You can't be in ownership of leavened bread. The 14th of Nisan. Since presumably the owner plans to use his Paschal offering on the second Pesach, it is an unspecified slaughter in the interim, stands to be offered for the sake of the Paschal offering. And it is that Paschal offering that requires verification of its status. But other situations of Paschal offering that is slaughtered beyond the designated time do not require verification of the animal status and assume the status of a Paschal offering. A peace offering, sorry. Let's go through that again. Return to the matter at hand. If a Paschal offering that is designated for use on the second Pesach is slaughtered on Passover, or one has leaven in its possession, it is exempt from receiving lashes because it is a disqualified Paschal offering. Granted, if you say that halacha slaughter is accomplished from the beginning to the end of the act, offering is disqualified from the beginning of the slaughter as a Paschal offering is slaughtered beyond its appointed time. Therefore, one is exempt from receiving lashes. But if you say that halacha slaughter is accomplished only at its conclusion, why is one exempt if he slaughtered the animal with leaven in his possession? Once he began and cut a bit of the simon, it is rejected from its status as a Paschal offering and can no longer be offered on the second Pesach. Therefore, when he slaughters the other remaining portion of the simon without specification, it is a peace offering that he is slaughtering. Abai said to Rav Idi Bar Avin, even if you say that halachic slaughter is accomplished only in its conclusion, although it was rejected from the possibility of being sacrificed on the second Pesach, it was rejected from the possibility of being redeemed and from the possibility of the monetary value of a Paschal offering being used to purchase an animal to be sacrificed on the second Pesach. As long as the slaughter is not yet complete, redemption of the animal remains possible. Therefore, unspecified slaughter at that time is for the sake of the Paschal offering, and one should be exempt from receiving lashes. And if you would say that in order to redeem a consecrated item, one requires that the animal be placed standing before the priest, and it requires valuation, with regard to the redemption of a blemished animal, it is written, then he shall stand the animal before the priest, and the priest shall evaluate it, whether it will be good or bad, and the priest evaluates it, so it shall be. So shall it be in Leviticus 27:11-12. The sages derive from here that only an animal that is included in the category of then he shall stand in the category of and the priest shall evaluate. An animal that is unable to stand is neither evaluated nor redeemed. See Arichin 4a. God's response is that there is no requirement for the animal to be actually standing, rather it's sufficient if it is capable of standing in the sense that it remains alive. 4a, even is about to die. With regard to a living animal that is consecrated, whether it is of a kosher species or a non-kosher species, and whether it is consecrated as a sacrificial animal or for a temple upkeep, here it develops a blemish, it is placed standing before the court for appraisal. Therefore, the animal dies before it is appraised and redeemed, but there is no redemption after death. 5:12. 27:1-12, and once the sword is unable to stand, but then we know about it. If one slaughtered, I cut two simonim in the animal, or the majority of two simonim, shachad b'shanayim or shanayim. If a kosher domesticated or undomesticated animal slaughtered, and the majority of both simonim were cut, let's say that the animal is convulsing. If it is a consecrated animal, it may still be appraised and redeemed until its convulsions cease. And that's the Roman Sefer Afla, Hilchot Avichin 5:13, Sefer Ve'uda, Hilchot Shorei Mizbeach 1:11, see Sefer Tahara, Hilchot Shorei Avatumot 2:1. And so God is not saying that living in every respect, and redeem eat until the convulsing ceases. Rav Yehuda said, that Rav said, one who cuts a simon in 2 or 3 places on the neck. So there's diagrams here of a windpipe in different cuts. If you have the Gemara, it's on page 157. This must be saying in the case where there was no interruption between any of the cuts for an interval, according to the duration of the slaughter of another animal. The manuscript of Rashi's cites in Shikni Mechubesed. There are 3 prime interpretations given for this halacha. Rashi explains that one made an incision in one part of the neck and paused, and made an incision in another part of the neck above or below the first incision to question that explanation. If he did not cut the majority of the simonim in one place, why is the slaughter valid according to Rav? If he did cut the majority of the simonim in one place, why would the slaughter be valid according to Shmuel? Just to explain that the hide did not part sufficiently and in the place of the initial incision of less than the majority of the simonim. Therefore, even if one proceeds to cut the majority of the simonim, it is not considered a clear and obvious loss to the wash. 24. The reference is to cutting in 2 or 3 places around the circumference of the windpipe and the collar. According to the Shai, it is not required that the incision be in the same location on the neck. And the case includes the situation where they are in several places along the neck and are configured in a manner where they combine to constitute a majority of the circumference of the simonim. The interpretation of this case is that one cut the majority of the windpipe in one place along the length of the simonim and the majority of the in another. And together the cut. The neck, and together the cuts constitute the requisite measure of slaughter. Slaughter is valid. If In a case where the majority of a simon was not cut in one place, e.g. if the simon was overturned during the slaughter and the slaughter continued cutting on the other side of the simon, if the cuts constitute a majority of the simon, slaughter is valid. This is true with regard to both the windpipe and the gullet. In addition, this ruling applies in a case where both incisions were made at the same place along the length of the simon, as well as in a case where the incision was lower and close to the body and one incision was higher close to the head. The slaughter is valid only if the incisions are not all on the same side of the simon. All the incisions were on the same side of the simon. E.g. he began cutting in one place and then cut higher and lower than the first incision. The slaughter is valid only if the majority of the simon was cut in either of those incisions, even though it is not clear and not a clear and obvious slaughter. In the contrary opinion of Rashi, explained by Tosfot, the ruling that one who cuts the simon in multiple places has effected a valid slaughter in accordance with the opinion of Rav in the Gemara, in accordance with the opinion in ritual matters. For the Mother Gemara 30b rules, in accordance with his opinion, this slaughter is valid whether it was performed by one person making two cuts or two people making one cut each with two knives. When it is performed by one person, ensure there is no interruption between the two incisions long enough to invalidate the slaughter. One later commentary writes that one who is meticulous in the performance of mitzvot should not eat from a slaughter performed in these ways. And the Sefer Kedush, 210, Chullin Daf, 21:3, and Tuvot Shor. Rabbi Yehuda adds, when I stated this halacha before Shmuel, he said to me, we require a clean, obvious slaughter, and in the case of cuts in 2 or 3 places, there's no obvious slaughter. And Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish holds that we require a clean, obvious slaughter. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says, from where is it divided that slaughter must be clean, obvious? As is stated, that tongue is sharp and shatut, arrow, he speaks deceit. One speaks peacefully to his neighbor with his mouth, but in his heart he lays in wait for him. Jeremiah 9:7. Just as an arrow clearly enters one part of the body, slaughter shechita must be clear and obvious. Rabbi Elazar raises an objection from my Mishnah, 30b. If 2 people grasping a knife and slaughtering, 2 people each holding his own knife simultaneously cut 2 different parts of the animal's neck, the slaughter is valid even if one cut only the windpipe or the majority thereof, and the other cut only the gullet and the majority thereof, in accordance with the explanation of the Mishnah. And the Sefer Kedush, 10, 21:3, one animal, even if each is holding a knife and slaughtering from one above and one below. So there's a picture of a 2-handled knife here. In accordance with the opinion that multiple incisions are on the same ring of the windpipe, the terms above and below refer to the front and back of the neck. Ramban. One begins slaughtering above, i.e. at the front of the neck, and continues to slaughter below. Alternatively, one typically slaughters an animal while it is lying on the ground, so that the front of the neck is facing upward and the back of the neck is below. See 30b. With each one slaughtering a different point in the neck, their slaughter is valid. But why is slaughtering valid according to the opinion of Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish? There is no clear and obvious slaughter, as each is cutting a different part of the neck. The Mishnah is referring to a case where with one knife and 2 people. If 2 people grasp one knife and slaughter the other animal, the slaughter is valid. This is the case if they hold it diagonally, with one holding his end closer to the head of the animal, the other holding his end closer to the body. Then I press the neck and around it, slaughter the Sefer Kedusha, 24:4. Each holding one end of the knife, resulting in a single diagonal incision from above to below. Rabbi Abba said to Rabbi Yirmiyah, if this is what's taught in that in the brides who will comment on that Mishnah, will need not be considered perhaps each will render the animal to for due to the other. Granted, if you say the Mishnah is referring to a case of 2 knives and 2 people, it works out well. Let's you say less let's be concerned that perhaps each will rely on the other that he will perform the slaughter properly, and neither will come to execute the cut on the majority of the simonim, nor will one come to execute the cut on the majority of the simonim. Therefore, the Tana teaches that one need not be concerned. But if you take the Mishnah referring to a case of one knife and two people, that statement in the Bible should not have said one, would consider that perhaps each will render the animal to from duty, and they should have said one need not be concerned that because one is pulling in one direction, one is pulling in the other, perhaps each will cause the animal to press the knife and thereby invalidate the slaughter. Rabbi Avin said to him, teach. One need not be concerned that perhaps each will cause the other to press the knife. Rabbi Avin raises an objection from Baita. If one slaughtered, I cut the gullet below on the neck and the windpipe above on the neck, or cut the gullet above on the neck and the windpipe below on the neck, his slaughter is valid. But Rabbi Avin asked, why is slaughter valid? But in that case, there is no clear and obvious slaughter. He raised the objection and he resolved that this Baita is not referring to cuts on two places on the neck, but referring to slaughter performed on a diagonal, like the point of a reed, a calcomus. So it's going to explain a reed here. Just showing there's a picture of the diagonal incision in simonim. Calcomus. The diagonal described in the Gemara refers to a case where one cuts the neck while one end of the knife is adjacent to the head and the other end of the knife is adjacent to the body. Alternatively, it is a case where the knife is held straight, but rather than cutting the neck straight back, he cuts down at an angle. In both cases, all agree that the slaughter is valid, as even small concedes in these situations, and one may slaughter in this manner abamnisha, and that's from the Rambam Sefer Kedusha, Hilchot Shechita 210, Hilchot Yodei 2140, Tvuat Shor, and Aruch HaShulchan. Another point here. Kalmos means reed, from the Greek kalamos meaning reed, especially one utilized as a writing utensil, and there's a picture here of an ancient reed pen. Rushing into a writing utensil. The slaughterer begins cutting from the top of one simon and cuts diagonally downwards so that when he reaches the second simon, the knife is lower. The Gemara relates, there was a certain bull that was slaughtered with cuts in 2 or 3 places in the simonim on its neck. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta entered the store and took a cut of meat from the highest quality parts of the animal, thereby demonstrating that the slaughter was valid. Rabbi Zeva said to him, "Oh, Rabbi, you have taught us 3 actions at the Mishnah. If 2 people are grasping a knife and slaughter one animal, even one above and one below, is referring even to a case of 2 knives and 2 people are cutting the same animal on different parts of the neck with their knives. Rabbi Yehuda says, the Rav says, if one concealed the knife, if one concealed the knife between the simonim and slaughtered by cutting the inner simon first, so it is not valid. How so? If one cut the inner simon in the prescribed manner, in a downward motion, and then withdrew the knife and cut the other simon in a downward motion, or if he did not withdraw the knife and cut the other simon in an upward motion, the slaughter is not valid. Certainly, if he cut both simon in an upward motion, the slaughter is not valid, said the Shach. In all these cases, the animal is the status of an unslaughtered carcass in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yeshivav, as Rabbi Akiva concedes to him in the Mishnah on 32a, and that's Novam Sefer Kedusha Chashachit 39 Chullin Daf 24/7. In the neck between one simon and the other simon. I.e., he inserted the knife between the windpipe and the gullet, and he severed the gullet first, and then removed the knife and cut the windpipe. The slaughter is not valid. If one concealed the knife beneath the hide of the neck, and then he cut both simonim, the slaughter is valid. The Gemara asks, what is our teaching us? We already learned this halacha explicitly in the Mishnah 32a. Or if one cut one simon and concealed the knife beneath the second simon and severed it, Rabbi Yeshivav says, the animal is an unslaughtered carcass and imparted impurity to contact with and carrying it. Rabbi Akiva says the animal is a terefa, and although eating it is prohibited, it does not transmit visual impurity. Both agree that the slaughter is not valid in the sense that it does not permit the consumption of the meat of the animal. Gemara answers, if the halacha is learned from the Mishnah alone, I would say this statement applies only in the case where one conceals the knife beneath the gullet and cuts it from below to above, i.e. from the nape to the front of the neck, because he did not perform the slaughter in the standard manner of slaughter. But if he cut the gullet from above to below, i.e. from the front of the neck to the nape, since he performed the slaughter in the standard manner of slaughter, saying that slaughter is valid. Therefore, Rav teaches us that with regard to any case where one conceals the knife during slaughter, his slaughter is not valid. The Gemara proceeds to analyze the second part of that which Rav Yehuda says that Rav says. If one conceals the knife beneath the height of the neck, and then cut both semanim in the standard manner, the slaughter is valid. The school of Rav say that Rav says that in a case where one conceals the knife beneath the height and cuts semanim of the animal, I do not know. Or if one conceals the knife beneath the hide, or beneath the tangled wool on the neck of the animal, or beneath a cloth tied around the animal's neck, or attached to the neck with wax, and slaughtered the animal, the slaughter is not valid. The halacha is in accordance with the opinion of the school of Rav, and therefore, due to the uncertainty, the ruling is stringent. If a cloth was merely spread over the neck, and he slaughtered beneath the cloth, the slaughter is valid. The explanation of Rashi. The Rambam rules that in that case too, it is not valid, and one should adhere to his ruling abomination. The Rambam writes, in order to seek to slaughter a sheep with tangled wool on his neck, should shear its wool before slaughtering it, ability that he will come to conceal the knife. From the Sefer Kedusha, Hashafit 310, day 24:8. In some places, expression Beirav refers simply to an academy where Torah was studied. Nevertheless, when a statement is cited in the name of Beirav, the reference is to the school of Rav Ahunan Amor. 117b states that the expression in the school of Rav says it is a reference to Rav Hanuna, and the others maintain that the reference is to Rav Huna. Rav Huna was Rav's most prominent disciple and succeeded him in the head of the yeshiva in Shor. Here could be understood as saying that Rav Huna did not know the halacha, and Rav Huna could be saying he does not know what Rav said on this topic. Which is following the second interpretation question of the Rif, which is in accordance with the uncertainty of Rav Huna and against the tradition of Rav Yehuda cited in the name of Rav, and to explain instead that Rav Huna, saying that he heard Rav himself say that he does not know the halacha of Rashba and the Meiri, whether the slaughter is valid or whether it is not valid. You can see the knife during the slaughter. A dilemma was raised before the sages. According to the opinion of the school of Rav, you say, beneath the hide, I don't know. If one conceals the knife beneath a cloth, Tachas Matlis. Rashi explains that the reference is to a case where the cloth was tied around the animal's neck. In Halacha Gedolot, he explained that the reference is specifically to a case where the cloth was stuck, e.g. with wax, to the hide of the animal's neck. The dilemma is whether the halakha state of that cloth is that of a part of the animal's body. The Rambam explains that the reference is to a case where one spread a cloth over the animal's neck and slaughtered the animal beneath the cloth. In that case, the dilemma is whether concealing the knife in that manner invalidates the slaughter, or whether the slaughter is invalidated only if the knife is concealed within the neck of the animal and is around the animal's neck. What is halakha? If one conceals the neck beneath tangled wool, the dilemma is if slaughter with the knife concealed beneath a cloth invalidates slaughter. Was halakha in a case where there is tangled wool on the neck of the animal and the knife is partially visible in the left avia. Apparently, the Rosh had a very reading of the Gemara in which the dilemma with tangled wool preceded the dilemma with regard to slaughter beneath a cloth. He explained that the dilemma is whether, since tangled wool stands to be shorn, the halakha stated that of wool that was already shorn, and therefore concealing the knife in it does not invalidate the slaughter. On the other hand, perhaps, since the knife is concealed, the slaughter is not valid. And if one says that in that case the slaughter is not valid, what is the halakha in the case where the knife was concealed beneath a cloth, which is not part of the animal's body at all? On the neck of the sheep, what is a halakha? Well, conclude these dilemmas shall stand unresolved. Rav Papa raises a dilemma. If one could steal the knife in cutting the majority of the simonim, if after cutting the majority of the simonim, one can steal the knife beneath or behind the remaining minority and cut it in an open motion, the slaughter is valid, according to the opinion of most of the commentaries. So more that even in that case, it is prohibited to eat the meat of the animal, says Rashi. One should adhere to this ruling of Nisha. If one could steal the knife beneath the majority of one simon and cut it in an upward motion, and then cut the majority of that simon in a downward motion, or if one cut the majority of the upper simon and steal the knife beneath the remaining minority and cut it in an upward motion, and then cut the second simon in a downward motion, or if you conceal the knife and cut a minority of the upper simon and complete the slaughter in the prescribed manner. In all these cases, the slaughter is not valid, in accordance with the explanation of Papa's dilemma and those commentaries. The one writes that the custom is to prohibit the consumption of slaughtered with a concealed knife, on which part of the sin was cut in this manner. This is a custom in many Sephardic communities as well. And that's from the Rambam Sefer Kedusha Chashchit 3:10. 24:10-11, and have Hachaim there. And cut the majority of Simonim in the stand of was halacha. The Gemara concluded the dilemma should stand the result. With regard to one who slaughters by cutting two animals' heads simultaneously, his slaughter is valid. Early in 29a, the Gemara proved from the phrase one who slaughters, which indicates that such an act of slaughter is valid only after the fact. Now the reference in the mission is to the slaughter of sacrificial animals. By contrast, it permits the slaughter of non-sacred animals. If one cuts the head of two animals simultaneously, slaughter is valid. One may do that Benisha, Rambam Sefer Kedusha Chashchit 3:9, Shulchan Daf 24:3, and see the Shach there. If two people are grasping a knife and slaughtering one animal, even if each one is holding a knife and slaughtering one above and one below, with each one slaughtering at a different point in the neck, then the slaughter is valid. If one decapitates the animal in one motion, either he cut the head in the manner of one who decapitates with a sword, or he places the knife with force as he cuts it. Killing in this manner is an example of disqualification of pressing the knife during slaughter. The Rashba writes that here the Gemara does not mean that the person decapitated the animal, rather it means that he struck the two simonim with the blade. Since the life of the animal depends on the simonim, it's considered as though he decapitated the animal and the head was placed in a basket. So now, except that even if pressing is performed during only a small part of the cutting, the related slaughter does not slaughter the animal in the standard manner of drawing the knife back and forth. The slaughter is not valid. If one decapitates an animal by placing a knife on the neck of the animal and pressing in the manner that one cuts a radish or cucumber, is not valid. Needless to say, if one strikes the neck with a knife and cuts the simonim in a manner that one wields a sword, the slaughter is not valid. Check something.